My name is Jet. I am 63 years old and I used to believe that the hardest years of my life were behind me. I had buried my wife, I had worked 20-hour shifts, I had raised a boy into a man with nothing but stubborn love and blistered hands. I thought I knew pain. But nothing prepares you for the moment you realize your own child has quietly agreed to erase you from his life. And it happened over roasted chicken and candlelight. The table looked beautiful that night. Vanessa always cared about presentation. Crystal glasses, linen napkins, soft instrumental music playing in the background. It was the kind of dinner that felt like a celebration. I even wore my good jacket. "Dad, sit," Adrian said warmly. "You're our guest tonight." Our guest. It was a strange phrase. This was my house. The house I bought 35 years ago. The house where Adrian took his first steps, where we celebrated birthdays with cheap cake and loud laughter. Still, I smiled. At 63, you learn to overlook small things. We ate. Vanessa asked polite questions about my day. Adrian talked about expanding his business. I nodded proudly. Every achievement of his still felt like mine too. Halfway through dessert, Vanessa tapped her fork gently against her glass. The sound was delicate. Sharp. Final. "I think it's time," she said. Adrian's jaw tightened. Time for what? I wondered. Vanessa looked at me, her expression smooth and composed. "Jet," she began, her voice syrupy sweet, "we've made arrangements for you." Arrangements, I repeated. Yes, she smiled. "We found a wonderful nursing home, very modern, very safe. You'll be much more comfortable there." I laughed softly at first. I thought it was a joke. But Adrian wasn't laughing. "This is your last dinner here," Vanessa added calmly. "You're moving next week." The room tilted slightly. The candles flickered like they were struggling for air. I looked at my son. "Is this true?" He couldn't meet my eyes. "Dad, it's for the best." For the best. I had heard that phrase before, when doctors told me my wife's suffering would soon be over. For the best rarely feels good in the moment. I set my fork down carefully so my hands wouldn't shake. "And when," I asked quietly, "did you decide I was finished living independently?" Vanessa folded her hands. "You forget things, you get tired, we worry." I thought about the mornings I woke at 5 a.m. to make Adrian breakfast before school. About the nights I stayed awake sewing patches on his jeans because we couldn't afford new ones. "You worry," I said gently, "or am I inconvenient?" Adrian flinched. Vanessa didn't. "We just think it's time," she repeated. Time. The word echoed in my chest. That night I walked through the house in the dark. My fingers brushed against the wall where pencil marks still tracked Adrian's growth, tiny scratches labeled in childish handwriting, age 10, age 12, age 15. In the garage, I ran my hand across the old workbench where we built his first bookshelf together. I wasn't ready to leave. Not because I feared a nursing home, but because I feared becoming invisible. At 63, you are not fragile, you are experienced, you are layered, you are filled with stories. And I refused to let mine end because someone found them inconvenient. That's when I remembered something important. The house was still in my name. Every brick. Every beam. Every memory. The next morning I made coffee. Vanessa walked into the kitchen confidently, as if the decision had already been executed. "Good morning," she said cheerfully. "Good morning," I replied. Adrian joined us looking exhausted. "I've been thinking," I began calmly. Vanessa smiled. "That's good." "I agree," I said. "Change might be necessary." Relief flooded Adrian's face. But I continued, placing a folder on the table. "Not the change you're expecting." Adrian frowned. "What is that?" "The deed," I answered, "to this house." Silence. Vanessa's posture stiffened. "I never transferred ownership," I said evenly. "When you needed financial help for your company, I mortgaged the property, but legally, it's still mine." Vanessa's mask cracked. "You can't do this," she snapped. "Do what?" I asked calmly. "Live in my own home." Adrian looked stunned. "You were going to send me away without even asking if I agreed," I said. "You didn't discuss it, you informed me." Adrian's voice trembled. "Dad, we thought." "You thought I was done," I said softly. That hurt him. "Good." Sometimes pain is the only thing that wakes people up. Over the next weeks, tension hung in the air like a storm cloud. Vanessa grew colder, Adrian became distant and conflicted. But something inside me had shifted. Instead of shrinking, I expanded. I joined a local woodworking club, I renovated the garage into a proper workshop. I started mentoring a young neighbor who had lost his father. I wasn't fatting. I was rebuilding. One evening, Adrian knocked on my workshop door. The smell of sawdust filled the air. "Dad," he said quietly, "can we talk?" I wiped my hands on a cloth and nodded. "I'm sorry," he said. "Why?" I asked. "For letting her say that, for not defending you." His voice broke. And suddenly, I didn't see a grown man struggling with loyalty to his wife. I saw my little boy, scared of confrontation. "I would have helped you," I told him. "If you were overwhelmed, if you needed space, if you were worried about me, we could have talked, but you don't get to decide my worth for me." Tears filled his eyes. I didn't know how to stand up to her. "Then learn," I said gently, "because a man who can't defend his father won't defend himself either." Months passed. Arguments between Adrian and Vanessa grew louder. She accused him of choosing me over her. He said it wasn't about choosing, it was about respect. Eventually she left. Not dramatically. Not violently. Just coldly. Their marriage cracked under the weight of control and silence. Divorce papers followed. It was painful, I won't pretend it was. I supported my son through sleepless nights and regret-filled conversations. But something powerful emerged from the wreckage. Adrian found his spine. And I found my second youth. One Sunday morning, nearly a year after the last dinner, Adrian and I sat on the porch with coffee. Sunlight spilled across the yard. "Dad," he said quietly, "I almost let someone convince me you were a burden." I looked at him. "And what do you think now?" "I think you're the strongest man I know." My chest tightened. Strength isn't loud. It's patient. It's steady. It survives humiliation without becoming bitter. I forgave him long before he forgave himself. Because love doesn't keep score. But it does require respect. Sometimes I think about that dinner. About the candles. About the sentence that was supposed to end my independence. "This is your last dinner." She was wrong. It wasn't my last dinner. It was my awakening. At 63, life didn't close its doors on me. It opened new ones. I travel more now, I fish with old friends, I teach young men how to work with their hands and how to honor their parents. And Adrian. He rebuilt his business. And more importantly, he rebuilt himself. We eat dinner together every Sunday now. No announcements. No ultimatums. Just gratitude. Moral of the story. Never mistake age for weakness. Never confuse comfort with love, and never allow anyone, even family, to quietly decide your value. The people who built your life deserve dignity, not disposal. I am Jet. I am 63 years old. And I'm still standing. Stronger than ever.